What's up everyone, welcome to the Surfside PPC YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be going over 11 Facebook ads targeting tips that you can use when you're building audiences for your campaigns. So we're going to get started here. Now when you're in your Facebook ads manager account, what you want to do is click on the menu here. I'm going to be spending a lot of time when you click on this audiences tab right here. This is the page you're going to get. I'm going to be spending a lot of time here as I go through this video. The first thing I want to go through though is if you come up to this menu and you click on partner integrations, it's going to open a page like this. So number one is to make sure you connect a partner integration if you see your partner listed here. So if you're running any of these different types of e-commerce stores, as we scroll down, you can see they have a lot of different website platforms here. So pretty much all the popular e-commerce platforms, a lot of the different websites that you can create. And you can also import offline conversions. You can connect CRM and marketing software. They have Google Tag Manager here, and they also have some mobile platforms as well. Number one is to make sure you're importing all the customer data that you collect. If we click over here on add new data source, you're going to see Facebook pixel, offline event set, and app events. So we have videos on our channel about how to add the Facebook pixel to your website, how to track conversions that are happening on your website. If you have a mobile app, make sure that you add all of your mobile app data directly to your Facebook ads manager, because you're going to be able to use that as you create advertisements. In addition, if you have any offline event sets, for example, I buy tickets to an event every year, so I go through the website that I buy tickets for. So the company that I buy it through should have my data in an offline event set, so they can upload that data directly to Facebook ads. So next year when they are running advertisements, they can make sure they not only reach me, but also reach lookalike audiences that are going to be similar to me, people that are probably also going to be interested in that event as well. So some different ways that you can track data. And then once you are collecting all the data about your customers and you import it into Facebook ads, you're able to target people with the use of custom audiences here. So number one, to continue on to it, import all customer data. Make sure you're tracking everything about your customers using the Facebook pixel, importing any offline event sets that you have, any data that you have about your customers, make sure you're tracking it. And then when you come to create audiences here, come to custom audiences, because these are generally going to perform the best because they're people that have already interacted with your business. They're familiar with your products and services. So as you set up Facebook ads, you want to target them first, and you also want to build lookalike audiences off of these ones as well. So if you have the Facebook pixel on your website, you can create website traffic, audiences. You can upload your customer list, whether it's a mailing list through MailChimp, or if you have a customer list through your Shopify website. I've gone over that in the past as well. You can check the video description for a video about how to target email lists and some best practices, app activity, offline activity, and then in addition, all these different Facebook sources here. So people who watch your videos, people who are connected to your Instagram business profile or interact with it, people who have signed up for your events or interacted with your events, lead forms, instant experiences, and Facebook page. So anybody who follows your Facebook page or interacts with your Facebook page. So this is really where you want to start, is making sure that you're importing all of your customer data first to Facebook ads and using all these different custom audiences. Any of them that apply to your business, you want to get started there. So that's going to be number one. Now, number two is going to be to use saved audiences. So we come up here, you go to the audiences page. What you can do is under create audience here, you can do saved audiences. So you click right here. And then as you go through the process of building everything out, so you can add some custom audiences here, you can set your locations, set up detailed targeting with interest, behaviors, demographics. I'll go through more of these as I go through the video, and then click on create down here. What you're able to do is you can adjust your targeting very easy when you're setting up campaigns or in existing campaigns. So if we come over here to Ads Manager, let's just say, for example, I have a campaign open here that I've ran in the past. And what we can do is, let's just say we click on edit here. We want to update the targeting for this ad set. We click on edit. What we can do is we can scroll down, and right here you can click on use saved audience. So any of the ones that you've created, you can easily add to your ad set. So it's very simple to update your targeting when you're trying to target people with your Facebook ads. So just using a saved audience is a great way to do that. Now, number three is going to be to combine your custom audiences. So you can see I have a custom audience right here, another custom right here. So if we click on create and you come over here to custom, any of the ones that you create here, if you come over to saved, so we click on this again, go to saved audience, what we can actually do is add multiple custom audiences here and lookalikes as well. So we can click right here, and then we click on the custom audience tab right here. And what we can do is use any of these different audiences here and click on them. So we'll click on this one right here, So what I can say is I can target anybody who's been to my website in the last 180 days. I can target anybody who has engaged with my Instagram page over the last 365 days, and then target anybody who has engaged with my Facebook page over the last 365 days. So you can combine multiple custom audiences. This is really a great way to make sure that you're targeting everybody in one saved audience, is to add a bunch of different custom options there. So people who visit your website, people interact with your Instagram page, maybe you want to add a mailing list here. So any type of source that you have of people that have already interacted with your business and are familiar with you, you can actually combine them here and then just name it, click on create down here, and then you can target them in your campaign rather than splitting them all out separately. So this is good, especially if you're not getting a ton of traffic to your website yet, if you don't have a ton of engagement on your pages. So for businesses with smaller audiences, this is a great way to make sure that you're targeting a lot of people at once rather than limiting your targeting. So if you only have, let's say, 1,000 people in a few different audiences, you can combine them all together and then target people with your Facebook advertisements. Now, number 4 is going to be to create and use lookalike audiences in your targeting. So if we click on create right here, what we can do is click on lookalike. And the first thing you need to do is select a source. So this is usually going to be from a data source or one of your custom audiences that you've created. So if we click right here, what we can do is you can see value-based sources. So if you have any value-based sources, I've gone over this in the past in other videos, you can upload lists, for example, a list from your Shopify website, and their Facebook ads is actually able to look at each individual email address that you upload, and then you can set a value for all those email addresses as well. So you want to make sure you use value-based sources when possible. The other thing you do is just come over here to other sources, and let's just say, for example, we want to use anybody connected to our Farmhouse Goals page. We're going to target United States, and then what you can do is select the number of lookalikes you want to create. So you can create 1. If you create 2 here, what's going to happen is it's going to create one that's 0 to 1%, similar to the source, and the second one is going to be 1 to 2% of the source. If you're just creating 1, it's going to be the 1% closest people in the United States to your source audience. So it's really simple to create these, and all you need to do is just set a source here, set the location that you want to target, set the size so you can create 1. You can also go here and create 2%. It's usually going to, depending on the location that you target, with the United States, it's usually about 2.2 million for each time that you go through each of these. So you're going to see it's going to keep increasing here. So if we just create 1%, we click on create, it's going to use that source audience to create a new lookalike audience that we can now target in our campaign. So that's going to be number 4. Okay, so 5 through 8, we're actually going to get in the process of building an audience right now. So let's just name it here, and we'll just do sample targeting. And now number 5 is going to be to understand location targeting and understand all the different options you have when it comes to targeting locations with your Facebook ads. So first off, you can click on this menu right here. You're going to see people who live in this location. So what you can target is everyone currently in a location, people who reside in a location, people recently in a location, and people traveling in a location. So I've used people traveling before. I've worked for an attraction that was in a touristy town, and what they did was they targeted people who were actually traveling in that location. So as people got back to their hotel rooms, maybe people are on the beach using their phones, as they go through Facebook, they were able to send customized messages to people who were specifically traveling in that location. So rather than targeting the United States, let's just say, for example, these people were located in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So let's just say Myrtle Beach right here. So they could target everybody in the city plus a 25-mile radius. So anybody around this radius, maybe you want to narrow it down a little bit. It really depends on how closely you want to target. So 10-mile radius, you're only targeting people in this small radius who are traveling in a location. If you have an attraction in this area right here, you can actually target people and say, enjoying your vacation and something along those lines. Visit our attraction today and get $5 off your tickets if you book online now through this advertisement using a special code. So it's a really simple process to make sure you're targeting different locations. Now, the other thing you can do with locations is, we'll get rid of this one real quick. If we come to browse, you can target countries. So any of these different countries here you can target. You can target regions. So there's a lot of different options here for regions. And then there's save locations as well. So if you target the same locations over and over, so what you would do right here is click on create list. And through this, it's going to say select your location type. So you would select it here, and then you can start targeting some of these different locations here. And you can actually save locations, or you can also add locations in bulk. So if we click on add locations in bulk here, you're going to see the same exact thing. So under here, you can target countries, regions, or states, DMAs, designated market areas, cities, postcodes, addresses. And then the other thing you can also do is drop a pin. So if we come over here with drop pin, let's just say, for example, I want to target this area around Jacksonville. So I click on drop pin, I would drop right here, and it's going to set this area right around 10 miles. So what we can do is go all the way up to 50 miles. So this can be very useful if you're targeting for an airport. You want to target people within 50 miles of the airport, and you want to target them with specific messaging based around that airport. So there's a lot of different options there if you have a local business to make sure you're targeting people within a 10-mile radius, 15-mile radius of your local business. Some of these different options you have as you're targeting locations. So just be aware of all the different things you can do as you are targeting locations. You can do people traveling, everybody currently in, people who reside in the location, who live there, and then people who are recently in that location as well. So if I just say people who live in this location, we'll just keep it as United States for the time being. Now, number 6 is going to be to make use of your Google Analytics account for all of your demographic data, for all of your geographic data. So with locations here, as we scroll down, you're going to see age, gender, languages. You can set all of these based on data you have in Google Analytics. So if we come over to our Google Analytics account for farmhouse goals, what we can see here is some of our top metro areas. So Chicago, Illinois, New York, Los Angeles. Usually it's just going to be based on population. You can see we get a lot from Chicago, Illinois. And then as we scroll down here, you can see some of these other areas. What you can do is actually look at how your website is performing. So if we look at goal completions here, goal conversion rate, as we scroll down, we can actually match some of these areas with the top conversion rates, with the best average session duration, and we can match them to the actual locations that they are, and we can use that as we set up our targeting. So you would just come over here to audience here in your analytics account, and you're going to see geo right here, and you look at location, you can look at language targeting here. Now if we open up another report, what we can also do is look at some of our top interests here. So if we go to interests, you can see in-market segments. So that's going to allow us to look at some of the top interests that people who are visiting our website. I like to use in-market segments to see what people are actually buying and looking for in the current process. So you can see with farmhouse goals, obviously it's all home decor, home furnishing, home and garden services, home improvement. So we can use that in a minute as we set up our interests. And then the other thing we can do is come over here and come into audience again. And let's just say we look at demographics overview. We can look at our age and gender statistics for people who are visiting our website. So we can expand this to more dates to see the most popular ages of people who are visiting our website and the most popular genders. So for the most part for us, pretty much 25 to 64. And over here, it's about 75, 76% female. So we can use this information as we build our audiences. So if I come back over here to Facebook, what I can do is say age. Maybe I want to start at 25. Maybe I want to go all the way up to 35. So we could just go 35 rather than 65 plus. We'll do 35 to 64. Gender, maybe I just want to target women for this advertisement. I can use some of that location data there. And then for languages, you can look at that data in Google Analytics as well, and just make sure you base it on the top languages that your customers are speaking. So using all of that data from Google Analytics can go a long way as you build your audiences in Facebook. Okay, so number 7, as we come over here to detailed targeting, so as you start building more audiences in your Facebook ads account, let's say you have the Facebook pixel on your website, Facebook is able to gather more data about your customers. So one of the things you can do under detailed targeting here is start with suggestions. And this is something I always recommend doing, is clicking on suggestions even before you click on browse. And what they're going to do is they're going to pull up the top suggestions based on the people that are connected to your page, based on your Facebook pixel, and based on some of the audiences that you've built in the past. So if we look at suggestions here, you're going to see home improvement, renovation. I have household income here, Pure One imports, home decor products. So you can use this to start building your audiences. If we come to the top, one thing you're going to see is our potential. So our potential reach is 57 million people right now. So we definitely want to narrow that down. So let's come down here and let's come into suggestions. And what I like to do is click on suggestions and we'll start building our audience. So maybe I want to start with people in the top 10% household income, top 10% of zip codes in the United States. So we'll click there, we'll come to the top. That'll narrow it down to 4.1 million people. So we can keep scrolling down. And what you can do is now you have this as top 10% of zip codes. We can click on narrow audience. So we click on narrow, it's going to say people who match this and must also match. and we'll come in here to suggestions and we can start narrowing down our audience a little bit. So let's just say I want to scroll down, people with home decor products here, and let's say renovation, and we'll say home improvements. So we'll use those 3 audiences here, and we'll narrow it one more time. So now people must be in top 10% of zip codes in the United States. They must match one of these 3 interests here, and they also must match. So we'll click on suggestions here one more time. So we'll scroll down, and perfect for farmhouse goals is farmhouse. So we'll click here, and now we can come back up and see our audience size, 270,000 people. So we're ready to use this audience right now. So this is a great way to narrow down your audience and look up some different suggestions that Facebook is going to give to you. So we'll get rid of these real quick. The other thing you can do here is search. So one thing I might try to do is, let's just say it is for farmhouse decor. I would search farmhouse, and you can see some of the results that come up. So you can see farmhouse, farmhouse kitchen, the vintage farmhouse, and city farmhouse are the 4 that come up for me. So I can use those in my targeting. Now the other thing, let's just say, for example, you want to target people who have specific interest in sports. So one thing you might want to do is say football, and we'll see what comes up. So you see football, association football, soccer, American football, NFL, college football. So all these different options that you have that you can target people with. So always enter one of your main keywords here and see if you can find any of these detailed targeting that would match closely with your products and services that you're trying to advertise. The other thing you can do is come over here to browse, and it's going to show demographics, interests, and behaviors. Under demographics, they have education, financial, life events, parents, relationship, and work. So you can go through all of these. If people who you are trying to target, let's just say, for example, under life events, you want to target people who have an anniversary within 30 days. So that's an option that you have here. Now we'll get rid of demographics for now, come to interests. So you can see they have a wide variety of interests. And one of the other things that you can do is, let's just say we'll come here to food and drink, click on it. Let's say we're looking at cooking and baking. So we want to target people who have an interest in baking. You can also come here to suggestions, and a lot of times the suggestions they give you are going to be based on this that you enter. So you can start with one of these targeting options here, and let's just say you have baking, for example. You're going to see the potential reach is huge. So maybe we want to narrow our audience here, click on suggestions. As you can see, it's not going to be as good. So we'll come back over here, we'll enter baking, and you'll see baking right here. So let's come back over here to suggestions. We can scroll down. So you can see it's going to start bringing in our other suggestions here. But let's just say, for example, I want to target people with an interest in baking and an interest specifically in cake decorating as well. So now what we're going to do is take this baking here, get rid of it. So now what we have is people who match baking and cake decorating. So if we come to the top, 4.2 million potential reach. And if we come over here to suggestions, it's going to give us some that are going to be a little bit closer. So birthday cake, cake decorator, baker and cake decorator under job titles. So some of the different things that you can actually target. If you want to target people specifically whose job titles include cake decorator, you can do that here as well. So there's a lot of different options as you come into detailed targeting. And the last thing I want to go through here is if we click on browse one more time, there's also behaviors. So if you come to behaviors, you're going to see anniversary again. Within 61 to 90 days, they have consumer classifications, digital activities, mobile device user, mobile device use time, more categories. So click here and you're going to see interested in upcoming events. Now, if we keep scrolling down, they have politics, they have purchase behavior. So they have Ramadan as an option here. They have soccer, they have travel. So let's look at travel real quick. So if we click here, you're going to see commuters, frequent travelers, return from travels 1 week ago. So you can target commuters. So some of these different options that you have as you go through the process, I generally like to do is try to get something here that's going to be more broad. So even if I come into suggestions and I start with something like home improvement, and then what I'll do is I'll narrow it down based on the suggestions that they give me. And I'll use this narrow audience here. You can also exclude people, which I'm going to go through in a little bit. Okay, so now number 8 is going to be to exclude audiences to avoid overlap. So there's a couple different ways to kind of look at this one. So for example, let's say I'm targeting different audiences in a campaign. What I want to do is make sure I don't have too much overlap in those audiences. So let's say, for example, one of the things I'm doing is under custom audiences here. What I want to do is I want to target one of my lookalike audiences for farmhouse goals. And let's just say I want to use my Instagram engagement. So I want to target people who have engaged with my Instagram page, a lookalike audience based on that source. So you can see my potential reach here is 1.5 million people. So I would use this targeting, click on create. Now, as I set up my other audience for this campaign, what I can do is rather than including this, come to Exclude. We'll get rid of it up here and make sure I'm excluding people who are in that audience so that I don't have too much overlap with the people that I'm targeting. So Lookalike here. So making sure that I'm not targeting the same people over and over. You can use excluded audiences to make sure you're targeting the people that you really want to target. And now the other thing you can do is, let's just say we want to get rid of this. We can also exclude people who are in at least one of the following. We can exclude people who have converted already. So if we have a custom audience set up and we have our converted audience here, what we can do is make sure that we're not targeting people who have converted already. So there's a few different ways that you can manage this, and I'll go through this a little bit more in the video, but including and excluding people is going to be a great way to make sure you're targeting the people that you want to target. The other thing you can do is, let's just say you're including a custom audience, anybody who has engaged with your Facebook page. You can scroll down here to connections and add a connection type and exclude people who like your page or include people who like your page. You can also target friends of people who like your page, and they have the same thing with apps. They have events, people who have responded to your event, and you can create advanced combinations as well. So make sure you play around with excluded audiences and understand you might need to exclude people based on different ad sets that you're setting up and the different targeting audiences that you're using in your campaign. Okay, now to come back over here, number 9 is going to be to look at audience overlap. So one of the cool things you can do in Facebook is we can select an audience here. So let's just say we have this lookalike. We click here. What we can do is click right here and show audience overlap. So it's going to show our selected audience here, and then we can add another down here. So we click on add another. So let's come down here and let's just say we use this farmhouse goals example Instagram. So we click here, click on compare. It's going to show the overlap here between this lookalike and this example one from Instagram. So you can see there's a little bit of overlap here. So 179,400 people, 8% overlap. So we can also add another one here. So we'll click right here and we'll use this top one, farmhouse homeowners, and we'll click on compare. So now this one, farmhouse homeowners, is comparing to this lookalike. You can see there's 7% overlap. So really not too much overlap for some of these different audiences that we can target in our campaign. But this is just a cool way to kind of look at how close your different audiences are together as you're building them to make sure that you're reaching different people and it's not just a complete overlap when you're targeting a lookalike, when you're targeting interests. So some of the different things that you're targeting, making sure that you're reaching new people, especially as you set up different ad sets and target different people in your campaign. Okay, so number 10, I'm going to come over here. So previous campaign I ran for Surfside PPC. Number 10 is going to be to split your audience targeting into different ad sets. So what you can do is actually see your top performers and continue to use them as you continue to build more campaigns. So if I look at some data here from a past campaign, I can see I have 3 different audiences here. So these are all saved ones that I've used. And you can see I've split them into 3 different ad sets so I know who I'm targeting. The one that performed the worst was this website traffic lookalike. Now it only had a 50 reach. So one thing I might want to do is come over here, just pause these other ad sets for the time being and see how this performs for a little bit longer, get more of a reach here. But what Facebook found is as they put these 2 different audiences, these ad sets out there more often for my campaign, you can see I was able to drive the majority of my conversions using both of these audiences right here. And you can see my cost per result was very low for both of these options. So as I create a new campaign, I can make sure I'm targeting these audiences again so I can continue to see success. So splitting your audiences into different ad sets, making sure that you're not just putting everything into one targeting group. So then you're targeting, let's say, 10 million, 15 million people. You don't really know what type of audiences are performing best for you. So making sure you're splitting them out into different ad sets will allow you to pick winners and continue to use them in follow-up campaigns. And as you run this campaign, what I can do is pause this ad set right here, create a new one, create a new targeting set, and see what's going to continue to perform the best for my business. Now, number 11, and last but not least, is to manage your converted audiences. So I've kind of gone over this in a previous step, but you can see here I uploaded my Surfside PPC newsletter here. If I'm running a campaign and I'm trying to get people to sign up for my newsletter, I want to make sure I keep this as up to date as possible here. So I want to keep coming into create, go to custom, and importing my customer list here to make sure that I'm not reaching people who have already converted for my campaign. So making sure that you're excluding people from your campaign after they've already converted. And as we scroll down here, for example, let's just say I have another audience. my Google Ads course purchase. So let's just say I put out a course out there, a bunch of people purchase it. I can keep track of all the people that have purchased it, whether it's through a thank you page or whether I'm using an email list and uploading that list directly to Facebook. So then maybe if I create a follow-up course, I can target these people first. Or if I'm continuing to run ads for this course, I can make sure that nobody who has already purchased the course is going to continue to see my advertisements. So managing your converted audience is really important as you run Facebook ads, because you want to make sure you're not reaching people who have converted already, because you're charged for every single impression. You just want to make sure that you're reaching new people if they've already converted. And with people who have converted, you should have a plan in place for how you're either going to target them or exclude them from your campaign or follow-up campaign. So these are 11 Facebook ads targeting tips. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Thanks for watching my video today, and make sure you subscribe to the Surfside PPC YouTube channel.